The tobacco industry took something sacred, stripped everything that made it medicine, and added 7,000 chemicals, and then sold it to us as a habit. Then, of course, we blame the plant. And tobacco isn't the only one. Think about cacao. The Maya and the Aztecs drank it bitter, cold, mixed with spices, as medicine in ceremony. Didn't have any sugar, and cacao is rich in antioxidants, magnesium, iron. It's considered the drink of the gods. And the industry turned it into a chocolate bar loaded with white sugar and chemical preservatives. And then we have coca. 8,000 years of use in the Andes. Coca is rich in vitamins A, B, C, calcium, iron, protein, used by an entire civilization to survive altitude, long journeys, hunger, fatigue. It is a sacred leaf. And the illegal industry ran it through a chemical extraction process and turned it into one of the most destructive drugs on earth. And then, of course, we banned the leaf. Then we have coffee, which is born in the highlands of Ethiopia, in the Kaffa region, where the ceremony of preparing and sharing coffee was a sacred act of community. And today, conventional coffee is one of the most heavily chemically treated crops in the world. It is said that around 250 pounds of pesticides are found per acre. That's crazy. And then we see the same pattern every single time. Take something sacred, strip it, sell it back, and blame the plant. The main reason someone would take something that heals and turn it into something that harms is simple as this: healing is not repeatable, but addiction is. So, obviously, from a business perspective, this is the most profitable business model. It is as simple as that. That's beyond conspiracy. A person who heals doesn't keep buying, but a person who's addicted does, every day without choosing to. And that is worth more money than any medicine ever could be. So the industry destroyed the plants because addiction scales and healing doesn't. And the result looks the same. But the cause is just ordinary greed dressed up as progress. And unfortunately, tobacco is the same story. And I consider it even worse. I grew up knowing what you probably know about tobacco, that it equals bad, it equals cancer, it equals something dangerous. But then I walk into my first ayahuasca ceremony here in Ecuador. And the medicine man who was trained in the Shuar tradition handed me something I didn't recognize. It was a dark, strong liquid, and he told me I had to drink it from my nose. And it was uncomfortable, and that was my first real encounter with tobacco, the actual plant. So let's start with the basics, because this is where most people's understanding breaks down. Tobacco use in sacred traditions across the Americas is called Nicotiana rustica. That's the real one. That's the ancestral one, the one we're talking about today. Commercial cigarettes use a different species. That's Nicotiana tabacum. It's loaded with additives processed in ways that strip out anything medicinal and replace it with things that are genuinely harmful. They're two different things that shouldn't be confused. In the short tradition here in Ecuador, tobacco is called sank, and the way they use it is nothing like you would expect. They prepare a juice from the leaves and they don't add anything, it's just pure. And you receive this medicine through your nose. And that's pharmacology because the nasal mucosa absorbs the alkaloids directly into the bloodstream. It's faster than digestion, is more immediate. And what you feel almost instantly is presence, a kind of clearing. The mental noise you didn't even know was there just stops. And you become grounded, you become focused. It brings you to the here and now. In the shamanic world, everything has life, everything has a spirit. The plants, the rivers, the animals, everything is alive. And tobacco in this worldview is called a protective spirit. And why is it a protective spirit? And it's because when you connect with this plant, we remove negative thoughts, low energy, mental noise, and we enter in the present moment, here and now. And when you're fully here, you can meditate, you can vision, you can receive. And the masters say the same thing they say about every powerful medicine. Everything depends on the dose. At certain doses, tobacco opens the visionary space. It allows the healer to enter the spiritual realm, to make contact with benevolent energies to support the healing process. That's why in the short tradition, the healer cannot work without it. There are also dietas with tobacco, which are extended periods where a person works deeply with this plant to purify the body, the mind, the spirit, and learn how to be more and more rooted in the earth. Because the pathway plants, especially with ayahuasca, you need to be anchored. The deeper the roots, the more conscious the trance. And here's something that surprised me when I first learned it. Tobacco isn't only a plant that works with consciousness, it is also a physical medicine. It has antimicrobial and antifungal properties. In the humid environment of the Amazon jungle, where infections and parasites are constant, tobacco has been used to protect, as a protection for the body. It has been used for respiratory issues, for sinus problems, for colds. And the juice of the plant, take it properly, works as a natural antibiotic. This is a plant that works on your energy, on your mind, on your spirit, and on your physical body at the same time. And that's real medicine. So, what I'm holding right now is called wanglia. This is a tobacco wanglia. So, this is one of the traditional forms of sacred tobacco from the Amazon. And it starts with the leaves, and they are harvested during the full moon. And that's because during that time, the plant is at its fullest. The oils are concentrated, the medicine strong, the energy of the plant lives in those leaves. And after the harvest, the leaves go through a drying process in the shade because the sun would burn off what we're trying to preserve. Then there comes the first fermentation. That's where the leaves begin to break down slowly, and then they're wrapped and they're compressed together. And that starts the second fermentation. So what comes out at the end of this is dense, dark, a compressed roll of pure plant medicine. And when you need it, you cut a small piece and you can make the liquid juice from tobacco. And you can use it for prayer, for ceremony, and even like to not even make the juice, but just to smoke it as a mapacho. And when you hold it, you can feel that this went through a process. This wasn't manufactured. This was tended, growth with intention, prepared with knowledge that goes back thousands of years. And I think that's the difference between this and a cigarette. Not just because of the chemistry, it's just the entire relationship. Also, another interesting thing is that in several Amazonian traditions, the word we translate as curandero, as healer, literally means one who is intoxicated with tobacco, or in some languages, one who eats tobacco. That's the highest rank of healer in Amazonian medicine. It's not defined by how many ceremonies they've done, how many visions they had. It's defined by their relationship with tobacco. Because in these traditions, tobacco is the first door, the plant that teaches you how to use all the other plants. The Shuar say it clearly. Natem, which is what they call ayahuasca, opens, and tobacco protects and grounds. You cannot have one without the other. They are inseparable. And this isn't just one tradition. This isn't just Ecuador. In 2021, archaeologists excavating a site in Utah found evidence of tobacco use that dates back 12,300 years. That's 9,000 years earlier than we previously believed. This plant has been with us from the beginning. In the Amazon, tobacco is called the father of all plants, the one who teaches the others how to heal. The tabaqueros, the masters of tobacco, are the highest ranked healers. Among the Muisca of Colombia, for example, tobacco is called the abuelo, the grandfather, the one who summons the ancestors, the one who opens the sacred space. Among the Shipibo Conibo of Peru, the healer's primary tool is not a song, the Icaro as we think, is the smoke, the breath of tobacco, directed with intention. In North America, native peoples offer tobacco to the fire. It's food for the spirits. It amplifies prayer. And here, in Shuar cosmology, the healer cannot diagnose, cannot enter the healing space, cannot connect with the spirit world without tobacco. Every culture across thousands of miles with no contact between them, we're talking about back in the day, they had the same answers, right? Tobacco is the first door. I want to share a bit about what tobacco has taught me. When I started working with tobacco and ceremony over the years, what I noticed was that I had more courage to believe in myself, to value myself more, and fear became smaller and clarity became more present in my life. In, I would say, in a very ordinary, grounded way. And after ceremonies, when I needed to integrate, when I needed to hear myself think in silence, sitting with tobacco, holding the intention, letting me bring me to the present moment, that became one of the most powerful and reliable practices I've found so far. The plant works on memory, on attention. It activates something in you that makes you want to align with what you think, with what you say, and with what you do. And if you think about it, that's the root of integrity. I feel like that's where you have real power. With those three things are in coherence. And here's where it gets interesting because it's just not tradition anymore. Then we have science who's starting to see what our ancestors already knew. A 2024 study published in a peer-reviewed journal followed people who work with tobacco in ceremony. Most felt uncomfortable at first, which I think is pretty normal, and then something opened, clarity, insight, healing. The researchers had to admit it. This plant does something real. Separately, researchers are also exploring nicotine, isolated and studied without commercial additives for its potential neuroprotective properties. There are active research directions looking at its relationship to Alzheimer, to Parkinson's, and attention disorders. This is emergent research, and I'm not making any medical claims, by the way. But what I'm saying is that our ancestors knew something, and science is finally starting to ask the right questions. So, what do you actually know about tobacco? Not the cigarette, not the addiction, not the warning label. We're talking about the plant, Nicotiana rustica, 12,300 years of human relationship, used across the entire continent as a liquid, as a smoke, as a nasal preparation, as prayer, as a diagnostic tool, as protection. Paracelsus said it. The difference between medicine and poison is the dose. And in the Amazon, the masters say the same thing. Tobacco use without preparation, without intention, without respect, without guidance becomes something harmful. Not because the plant is bad, because the relationship has been broken. This plant has been with us for 12,300 years. It deserves to be understood. In the next video, we're going to follow this up by going deeper into the neuroscience of what this plant actually does in the brain. So that one is also going to be worth your time. I'm Gabriel, this is Sacred Seed, and thank you for watching.